All right, I'm ready to go.
All right.
You recording?
I'm recording.
And I am recording.
And we're recording there. And so do you want to start off by talking about the upcoming new Lego movie?
Yeah, I know nothing about that.
I'm just kidding, man.
Oh, okay. I was like, I figured we were going to do an hour of just Black Panther and Black Panther only.
Recording from an undisclosed location in Sacramento, it's Jeff and Dave Talk Movies.
All right. Well, hey, welcome back, everybody, to Jeff and Dave Talk Movies. I am Jeff.
And I am Dave.
And wow. What can I say
what a
about
week.
what we just saw?
Holy crap.
I loved Black Panther.
Dude, I came walking to that movie, and I honestly didn't know how to feel. I loved it. I absolutely loved it, but it was just kind of like, okay, was this my favorite? Or was there another one? Yeah, and I just want to point this out to our listening audience. This is the first time Jeff and I have actually communicated to each other how we feel about this movie since we both saw it. We saw it separately.
Yeah.
And
so yeah, my I know we both saw it on Thursday. We saw the we saw the premiere, which is actually, I guess now Black Panther broke every record for early premiere showings,
which makes perfect sense.
It was now, north of $25 million that it took in just.
Now I want to say one thing. I went to the fan experience.
Nice.
Which was a little different because they had a couple giveaways. Like normally I don't do the popcorn or a drink because getting older and the bladder decides halfway through the movies that it's time to go.
Right.
And
how do you spell P?
Yeah, RELIEF. But I decided I was gonna do it this time, and so part of the fan experience, the commemorative popcorn thing, and I should have brought it with me, that had Black Panther on it, and it's plastic, and the whole thing is really, really nice. Was free.
Nice.
With the popcorn, so I didn't have to pay for that, and then they got a commemorative cup, which is
that's pretty cool.
It's super dope, and for some reason, I don't know why, Dr. Pepper tastes better coming out of it.
I was just going to say, I don't have to guess what's in that.
Yeah, no, it's it is the dark elixir of love in there. And then we also got a collector's coin.
Nice.
That was pretty dope. I brought it. I'll show it to you. I'll show it to you after the show.
That's cool. I went to the later show. It was 8:30 that night. It was not a fan experience. The theater was about half full, and I did not. Let me just start off by saying I did not do this movie justice by going to the later show because I was already working on a 14-hour day, and I didn't get out of that movie until about 10:45-ish.
Oh, wow.
And so by the time that movie was over, I was ready to bolt. I mean,
I bet.
I was just
Now,
done.
you did stay until the end, right? You did watch oh my gosh, I think this is our last episode. If he answers this incorrectly.
Well, you can't go to a Marvel movie without staying for the end credits. Because
right.
You know there's going to be an end credit scene. However, I did not see the second one. I saw the first credit scene. I did not see the second credit.
Well, I am going to say this, and I'm also going to say, ladies and gentlemen, that we are going to go into deep spoiler territory, more than likely, during this review.
We can't talk about this movie without
right.
giving some stuff away.
So listen responsibly, but I do got to say this. The very end scene was cool to see, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh, they totally teased the next movie.
I think the first credit scene did kind of set things up for the future better than from what I heard the second one was. The second one was, you had to deal with the Winter Soldier and with Sebastian Stan's character.
It did, and it just showed him recovering in Wakanda, and how they kind of had him out in his own little hut with some of the more rural,
which they had set up in the previews. I mean, when you see the previews for the Avengers movies, I mean, you see him he's in Wakanda. So
right.
I mean, yeah.
So some people are speculating that kind of sets him up as a protector, a special protector of Wakanda. In the comic book line, there was I can't remember the guy's name, but he was a white character that was brought in.
That was a hunter.
Yeah.
Hunter.
He was a hunter, and he kind of adopted Wakanda as his own, and he became the White Panther, and he was a protector, a special protector of Wakanda, and they're saying that they're kind of teasing that, but I have a feeling that Bucky is going to be Captain America after the next Avengers movie.
Yes, it will. But yeah, no. So I mean, it was the first one. I thought the first post-credit scene set the next movie up for forever. I mean, talking about sharing their technology with the world and everybody going, huh? What technology do you have?
Oh my gosh,
it sets it up perfectly because of what's going to happen in the next Avengers movie where they fight Thanos.
Right.
So they need that. They need that.
They do need that technology, and so I think that's brilliant. Where it's like, well, no, here we are. We're out in the world. Things are going to get a little more advanced for everybody.
Right.
And I dug it. Now, one of the things, because we had talked about this the last couple of weeks, that kind of concerned me was the political nature of this movie, and a lot of people were really putting a lot of political spin on it, and it was just kind of like, oh my gosh, please don't ruin this movie.
Well, the politicalness is there, whether they intended for it to be there or not. And it's there, because if you look at the state that this country's in right now, we're, women of power, so my personal take on this is that the women in Black Panther are the true main characters of this movie.
I would tend to agree with that.
More so than Black Panther. More so than T'Challa.
Yeah, to a certain degree, I would agree with that.
The women in this movie made the movie.
They
were badass, kick ass. They didn't need any kind of tech or weaponry or they had weapons, but they didn't need it. They were just beating fools to the pulp, man. They were
and I'm going to say along that line, I honestly think that T'Challa's sister stole this movie a little bit from him.
She was cute.
She was super
cute.
She
was cute. No, cute from James Bond.
She was cute.
That's the first thing I saw when she goes, let me walk you through my cave, and she started showing off all that tech. The first thing I thought of was James Bond and Q.
Yeah.
And Q Branch. And I'm like, oh my God, they have a Q in this movie. It's so cool.
And she was freaking awesome. And I loved her character, how spunky she was, how feisty she was.
Yeah.
And
she's going to play. They're actually touting her. I shouldn't say they are touting her. She thinks of herself as being smarter than Tony Stark. And I think what you're going to see in the Avengers, you might see a battle of wits between these two.
Actually, we may have just seen the next Iron Man.
Yeah. That could be.
Because I have a feeling, because Iron Man's suit is completely different than what we've seen.
Yeah.
Than any other movie, and I have a feeling she had a huge hand in that.
Mm-hmm.
And we already saw her with the gloves that shot some stuff, so I have a feeling she's going to develop a suit for her. We know she's in Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
She's fighting alongside her brother, and so it will be really interesting to see where they take her. And you know what? Wouldn't complain to see.
I wouldn't either.
As long as again, we're going to talk about politics, but as long as the politics are kept kind of to a minimum, because obviously it's going to be there, but I don't want it to be preachy. I don't want to be preached to. These are Marvel movies. You're not social commentary.
Right.
It's cool. Female Iron Man, don't care. Just make it part of the movie. Make it understandable. Don't do it just because.
Mm-hmm.
And don't preach to us about it. And I'll be totally on board.
Yep. Well, and I think, look, This movie just proved Hollywood wrong in so many different ways. You know, I mean, it proved that you can have a heavily female cast and they can carry a movie, which we don't really know, but you can have a female cast of color and they can carry.
Well,
the movie.
you know,
but I don't think that this movie. Look, it doesn't matter, you know, who you have in the lead role: white, black, brown, green.
If the story's
yellow,
good,
it doesn't matter. It's what people want to go see.
Yeah.
And when I went to go see this movie, I didn't see. I mean, we had Andy Serkis in there, which was totally cool because I loved his character.
Well, and it is
Ulysses Claw.
It's pretty awesome that the only two white characters were Frodo and
right.
And
Let's
Gollum.
bring a little Lord of the Rings back to this.
But you know, here's the other thing that I really loved about this movie
Hobbit,
you know,
sorry.
Yeah, everybody's putting the political spin on it. Whoa, they've got these female warriors, and they're just doing stuff just because it's politically correct. No,
that's how
that's
it's written.
the way it's been since the 1960s. It was written with female warriors.
Yes.
It was written as a predominantly black comic book,
Mm-hmm.
and so no, none of this is done for political correctness.
No.
This was all done for accuracy, the way it's been portrayed since the 1960s in the comics. And so it's like, come on, you got to give it to them there. They nailed it.
They nailed it. Yeah, absolutely. And so looking at the main character Chadwick Boseman and the film's villain Michael B. Jordan, I thought Michael B. Jordan, he right now is at the top of my list for best Marvel villain. He was right there.
He was good, but man, Claw. I want a Claw movie.
Well, Ulysses, yeah.
Give me a Ulysses Claw movie because
I didn't care for his character too much in Ultron, in Avengers and Ultron.
He was just kind of a throw. He just was a.
Yeah, I mean, he's great. Character. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I thought Michael B. Jordan, blew him away. You know, I mean, as far as comparing evilness between the two, I thought Michael B. Jordan's character was a lot better.
Well, I just like Claw because he was just this side of crazy.
Right.
Like completely insane. I don't know. I just liked him being on the screen just because he totally just chewed the scenery.
Right.
But don't get me wrong, Michael B. Jordan was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just tired of Marvel's propensity of killing all of their villains.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, it would be nice to see. It would have been nice to see Eric Killmonger, get caught and held, and see if he could be used as an ally or as, a minion of Thanos. I just wish we could see the villains last a little longer than that. They did that in Captain America: Civil War when they killed off Crossbones, like within the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, that was a disappointment. Crossbones could have been, and should have been an awesome character. But I mean, they didn't kill off Loki. They kept Loki around for a long time.
True, but he plays a greater part in the overall arc of the movie. That's why the storyline. That's why they
could have went
him.
This way with him, but I mean, it's. I don't know. I mean, to me, Michael B. Jordan nailed that. Hats off to him. I think. What do you give me for Chadwick Boseman and Chiwetel Ejiofor? I look at those two guys. I'm like, wait a minute. If you put these two guys next to each other,
they could play brothers for sure.
I'll put up a graphic here when this thing goes live. But I'm looking at him like Chiwetel Ejiofor could have easily played this role and passed it off.
He could have, and you know what? He was in the running for it.
I believe it.
He was in the running for it, and I don't know ultimately why they chose Chadwick Boseman, but having seen the movie, can't picture anybody else doing it.
I would probably say they probably went with the youth factor over age, and not that Chiwetel Ejiofor is old or anything, but I mean he's been around for a long time.
Yeah, he has, but I think we could totally see him as a character within the next Black Panther. But I do know that he was up for it. I actually think Michael B. Jordan was up for Black Panther at one point. Yeah, there was a bunch of people that were.
I think they made a great choice. Chadwick Boseman nailed it.
They did.
It was awesome.
They did, and I love that they portrayed him as a good man.
Mm-hmm. With limitations.
Yeah, with limitations, and he recognizes the limitations, but he uses his goodness for Well, for doing the right thing, and I really, really like that. I like the fact that, they had an opportunity to possibly turn him kind of bad for a minute when he finds out what his dad did, the secret that had been kept.
Yeah.
They had total opportunity to turn him to somebody that was a little more, take him off that path. But I just love that it was even more of a catalyst for him to be like, no, we need to stay the path.
Well, he could have easily killed Killmonger at the end. I mean, he could have. I mean, he had him right there.
Oh, he had every opportunity, and
instead he in fact he even took him to the surface so he can see Wakanda.
Yeah, to actually see, this is what Wakanda really is.
Right.
And yeah, it was just it was good, and any political message that was in there,
it was awesome.
I just think at the end of the day, when T'Challa was saying, no, we need to work together as a people, all peoples work together to succeed. Right. I love that, because that's the truth.
Yeah.
Instead of talking about black, white, yellow, green, purple, whatever color your skin is, and if you are green, please come over. We would love to check that out, because that would be awesome as hell.
Pretty cool.
But I just, if that's going to be the political message at the end of the day, that we all need to work together, sign me up for that. We need to stop talking about what makes us different.
There was a line in the movie, and I don't remember it line for line, but it was I would rather jump over the sides of the boat than to live the last years of my life in slavery and bondage. Yeah. And again, it's one of those things that this movie didn't set out to be political, but there's a lot of politicalness in this movie and truth.
There is, but that's the thing that I liked about it. It wasn't preachy. It wasn't in your face, and it wasn't these people are better than these people, and we're better than you. It wasn't any of that. It was just kind of like, hey, everybody, come on, we need each other,
right?
And that's the truth. We need each other, and if two bald white dudes can go and watch this movie with a predominant black cast and come out going, holy crap, that movie was awesome. There's hope for the future, folks.
It wasn't, I mean, don't look at this movie as black and white. I mean, just look at this movie for what it is, and it's entertainment. And, God, man, I can't get over it. I mean, just the cast alone. Angela Bassett was in this movie, Lupita Nyong'o, Daniel Coulier. I mean, I was surprised of his heel turn at the end, and then he came back around. He came back around at the end because he knew he's like, I'm about to get my ass whipped by the love of my life.
Oh yeah,
it's like,
and she will take you down.
I gotta get myself.
Although I'm gonna say, I don't think she's the love of his life anymore.
I don't think so either.
I think she has scraped him off because of what he did. Although anyone that wants to come riding into battle on a huge freaking rhinoceros.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That was freaking cool.
That was so awesome.
Like, I love that how in the beginning how they're or not in the beginning, it was kind of like the middle-ish. They're walking through in the T'Challa, he stops and he's looking at this giant rhinoceros and he's like, has he grown?
Yeah.
It's like, really?
Yeah.
he's pretty
pretty
grown.
big. Well, and I love the fact that when the girlfriend, the wife, they never really kind of made it clear whether or not they were married or just betrothed to each other. But when she stepped out in front of that rhino and the rhino stops and then just walks up to her and licks her.
Right. That was one of the many moments where the theater that I was in, everybody just roared with laughter.
Oh yeah.
Okoye was her name. In the movie.
Oh, such a good movie. I will be seeing it again this week.
Yeah, I need to go see it again as well because, like I said, I didn't do the movie justice when I went that late at night. But.
And I bought my tickets even though I bought them a month in advance.
Yeah.
The theater was packed, and I had said this in our first episode. I bought my tickets, and it was almost sold out a month in advance for this special event. So I had to sit close, and then off to the side. And the movie, and I didn't realize this when I bought my tickets, it was also in 3D.
Oh, nice.
Which was kind of cool. I would love to see it in 3D again, but higher up and in the middle.
That'd be cool.
So I'm definitely planning on doing that this week sometime.
Did you have the reclining seats in the theater that you went to?
Heck yeah.
Did you? Yeah. See, that just added more to my tiredness when I was there.
Yeah, that's always bad. Well, and the other thing that I was thinking, because I showed up and I didn't have time for dinner, so really all I had was the popcorn and a drink, and I think I might go see it at the Studio Movie Grill.
Oh, nice.
Not a paid advertisement, but it's a theater here in the Sacramento area where
I'm all over
you can buy dinner and eat dinner while you're watching a movie, and they
dinner
have
and drink.
Oh yeah, and they've got a mac and cheese on their menu that is just holy crap. Yes, please.
There's one thing that bugged me, and
what?
And I want to talk about it because we dedicated a whole part of an earlier episode to this topic, and is the reviews. So I'm a pretty firm believer that Rotten Tomatoes pretty much nails it, but we talked
for the most part.
We talked a lot about how there was a group out there bound and determined to ruin these Marvel movies and the Star Wars movies, anything that Disney was involved in, because they felt that their DC movies, their DC loves, were getting mistreated. And there was quite a few of those posts on Rotten Tomatoes where people were just bashing this movie, saying how awful it was and how badly cast it was, and some people were just giving it a half star and not even giving a reason. It's like, and they're giving a half star when a majority of the people are giving it 5.
Right.
And you just give it a half, and then they're just full of crap.
Right.
And it pisses me off because here it's still going on. It's like you have no.
It is.
You want to sit there and you want to torture Disney and you want to torture Marvel, when really you need to be torching the people who are putting out your DC movies, which is Warner Brothers. That's who you should be. And that's
what we've talked about before too. I've enjoyed the Marvel movie. I mean, the DC movies. I really have, but they're not of the quality. They're not. I'm a huge.
For the exception of Wonder Woman, they were not.
Right, and I'm a huge DC fan, huge Batman fan, have been for years, and
well, actually, I shouldn't say that. The Christopher Nolan Batman movies
were phenomenal, but but the thing is, the DC movies have not been to the quality that the Marvel movies have been.
Right,
they've been extremely disjointed. DC does not know what they're doing with their cinematic universe, and this is coming from a fan. Now, that does not preclude me from sitting down and watching Man of Steel or Batman v Superman, especially Wonder Woman, Suicide Squad, any of them, and enjoying them thoroughly. I totally do enjoy those movies. Love Justice League. I'm buying it the day it comes out. But
it's already out, by the way. I bought it. I got it.
Oh, digital.
Digital, yeah.
But they're not the quality that Marvel has been. They're not cohesive. And so you guys need to quit complaining and quit being butthurt over something that it's the studio's fault.
It's so frustrating.
Disney's not ruining these movies. Disney's making
You're getting the movies that you want to see, so why complain? Why complain?
Exactly.
And I'll tell you what, without Marvel, without the Marvel movies today, you would not have Justice League. You would not have movies.
We would have not gotten a Wonder Woman movie. We would not be getting an Aquaman movie.
Right.
We would never have seen Batman and Superman on the screen other than an animated universe.
You would not have it. I mean, eventually you probably would have, but you wouldn't have got it right now.
So instead of being sexually frustrated and angry at every little thing because you're not getting what you want, maybe just relax. Say thank you, Disney, for actually pushing the envelope and making it so DC realizes they have to get into the game.
Send an email or a letter to the head of Warner Brothers and complain.
Yeah.
Don't go ruining it for everybody else. I mean, honestly, you're not. It has no purpose. The only thing it does is it drives a percentage down. People are still going to go see the movie.
Oh, people are going to.
I mean, this movie is made. I'm just reading it right here. This movie has roared. Black Panther roars to a record $192 million first weekend at the box office. Second only to Avengers.
Oh, yeah.
The original
this movie's going to make a ton of money, and you guys bitching and moaning is not going to stop that from happening.
That's just frustrating.
And so just shut up and relax, and just, if you don't want to go see the movie, don't freaking go see the movie. But don't downrate it just because, well, they didn't like the Justice League movie. Well, the Justice League movie wasn't great.
It was not good.
It still is not as good. That was.
It was good. It was entertaining.
It was good.
It was good.
It was super. It was,
But I mean,
it's not as good as the first Avengers.
No.
It's not as good as
It's not as good
Civil
as the Winter
War.
Soldier. No. All the Captain America movies were great.
Oh, they were
The second
phenomenal.
Avengers it was okay. The Age of Ultron, even Iron Man 3, as bummed out as I was over the Mandarin and what they did with the Mandarin, it still was a lot better than a lot of the DC movies.
Oh yeah, well, and I will still say that Captain America: Civil War was a better Avengers movie than the second Avengers movie.
Yeah. All the Captain America movies were just
they've all
top-notch.
been super solid.
Top-notch.
And so that's the thing. If you look at it, Justice League was supposed to be DC's Avengers movie.
Yeah.
It's the final team up. We get all of the members of the Justice League, and it fell flat.
They blew it.
They totally blew it.
Doing my Robert De Niro impression. You blew it.
Yeah. And so I just blame DC for that.
Yeah.
The reviews aren't poor for the DC movies because people are just being mean.
Mm-hmm.
They just haven't been the quality.
They just haven't been as good. Yeah, they haven't been as good. So people just need to stop with that. I mean, one thing that did. I'm jumping around because there's just so much I want to talk about.
No, it's all good.
This movie is. You remember back in the '80s, there was a movie that came out. It was called The Last Dragon. Remember?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So The Last Dragon had Vanity in it, and gosh, now I can't remember the guy's name who played the Bruce Lee wannabe in that movie, but it was a cheesy 80s movie, and
all you had to do was say 80s movie.
Yeah,
they were all cheesy.
Leroy Green was the character's name, but Tamak. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce his name, but he was the one who played the lead. I remember seeing that when I was a kid, and I had visions of The Last Dragon when I was watching this movie. I was like, as Chadwick Boseman's character T'Challa comes strutting off the spaceship, and he's got that little pimp walk, and he's kind of like he's giving that little strut. There's a lot of soul to this movie. I'm like, I love that. That's so cool.
Oh, yeah.
That's so 80s right there to me, and I love that.
The music was on point too.
Because the little beats in the background, yes, it was so cool.
Where it kind of had a little bit of a Shaft, blaxploitation kind of feel to it, but it was good.
Yeah.
And I'm not a rap guy, but some of the stuff that was in there,
it's catchy.
Of the rap, it was like
catchy.
I would listen to that.
I'm totally buying the soundtrack when it comes out. It was so cool. I mean, it was just
just a good.
God, I love it.
Was good.
Yeah, it was so cool. I mean, every little thing about this movie, I'm just like, oh that's cool. Oh yeah, and it brought me back to my childhood a lot, especially with this Last Dragon. Because I remember when the Last Dragon came out, because back then everybody loved Vanity. Vanity was like, oh my God, Vanity.
Well, it's because she had a nice body, and you knew that chances are you were going to get to see her naked.
Yeah, and a lot of her movies, yeah. But Purple Rain.
Actually, that was it. Was that Vanity?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that was Apollonia.
Oh, Apollonia, sorry. Yeah.
But 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Yes, sign me up for either side of that fence.
But, but that's the first thing I thought of when he came strutting off. I'm like, The Last Dragon. That's totally The Last Dragon right there. And and that kind of leads me into Ryan Coogler, because, dude,
I started rewatching Creed.
A movie.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that guy can make a freaking movie.
Yeah. And it's just like, okay, here's a guy that's never made a superhero movie ever, and freaking nailed it on the first shot.
They already want him to come back and direct another Black Panther movie.
Yes, please.
Back. Yeah.
Sign. You know what? Just give him a blank check. Give him a blank check.
Back up the Brinks truck. How much money do you want?
Because
you're making us a buttload of money right now.
he nailed it. But this is another one. This is another instance when you had a director that understood the character that he was making a movie about.
Right.
He completely understood that, and it made the movie that much better.
And not because he's black.
No, you know what? That whole thing, aside, I don't care that it was an all black cast. I don't care that it was a black director.
He
I just
understood
cared
the character because he loves comic book movies. So I mean, he actually did his research, and not that
Exactly.
anybody else couldn't have done a great job, but what Ryan Coogler brought as a new director to Hollywood.
Yeah.
And he's not really a studio director because I mean, Fruitvale Station was an indie film. And then Creed was his first real studio experience, from what I've read. And
so
then
technically, this is his second movie.
Second one. He's putting out stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the structure,
Well,
the storyline, the visuals. Oh my God, the visuals of this movie were fantastic.
Well, go back to Creed. Creed was absolutely an amazing movie, and it should have won Best Picture. And I think it's garbage that it
Stallone
didn't.
should have won Best Supporting Actor too.
But yeah, that goes back to the original Academy conversation, which is they're bogus anymore. Because this is another movie, it's a superhero movie. This movie needs to be nominated.
Oh well, I mean, look,
It won't be.
At the very minimum, this movie wins Best Costume Design.
Yeah, but that's a
minimum.
throwaway. That's a throwaway. It needs to be. Ryan Coogler needs to be acknowledged for this.
Oh yeah.
The script needs to be acknowledged.
Yes.
Visual effects, it'll probably get nominated for, but it needs to be up there with. He needs to be, best director. Writing needs to be recognized on this movie. Shoot, it needs to be recognized best picture.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of a Selma for our day, and I know this is probably totally understating what happened in Selma back in the '60s, but this movie it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and what better way to bring light to a lot of these social injustices is to give these types of movies more exposure, and to bring more light to the universe. I mean, you'll get more people coming in and watching these movies when you give them the justified exposure that they deserve. Until the Academy backs off and says, okay, let's go ahead and let's start nominating some superhero movies for Best Picture. I mean, you're not going to see it happen.
Yeah, they'll never get their due.
They still want to see even
the dogs.
Agree.
The dogs know.
But again, it's just they need to start recognizing these types of movies, and Ryan Coogler needs to be recognized. So I'm going to take a quick break.
So we can go stop the dogs from barking.
Deal with the dogs. I'll be right back.
And we're back. No animals were harmed in this interlude.
No animals were harmed in the making of this podcast.
That's right.
But yeah, so I mean, look, I mean, I don't want to keep preaching on bagging on the Academy, and because they're short-sighted and they can't recognize these types of films, or the directors or the writers. But I'll tell you, this movie is everything that they want, that the people want.
Oh, well,
and then some. And if the Academy likes politically correct movies, and they look for those types of statements, then this movie right here needs to be nominated.
It totally does. And I'm just going to say, this movie, probably more so than any other actual political movie, could bring more people together than another political movie, because this is something that we all can get behind. It's a superhero.
Mm-hmm.
We all want to be greater than what we are, and superheroes kind of give us that. We go into the movie theater and we can watch people do amazing things, and it to a great extent, it's extremely inspiring to see that. And so, these movies, I went into this showing and it was predominantly black crowd, and that's just fine with me. I don't care. We went in and watched this movie, and everybody loved it, and people were coming out of there just laughing together and like, oh my gosh, that was so awesome, because we shared this really cool experience. And we didn't know each other, but because we were in that room together and we experienced this thing, you kind of brought everybody together.
Mm-hmm.
And walking down the hall, people were like, oh, how was it? Was it good? And you're like, oh yeah, the movie was phenomenal. And so we need more movies like this.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
where people have fun. They enjoy it. They're being able to experience it together. No one felt like they were being kept out of that. It's like, well, this movie wasn't made for me. I don't feel like I should have come and seen this movie because it wasn't made for me.
If you're a comic book fan, this movie was made for you.
Yeah, this movie, it was
made for you.
It was so good. It was really good.
It was a really good movie. I was so blown away by it that, I definitely need to go see it again. And the amount of money that this movie's already pulled in, I mean, we're not the only ones who think that way.
And it's only been a few days.
I mean,
this movie's going to make a crap ton of money.
Oh, yeah.
$1 billion club, easy.
I really think that kind of my prediction now going forward is, based on how this movie ended with the post-credit scenes and, and just what we're expecting out of Infinity War, is I think that this movie very well could be the Phase 4 anchor. This could, more so than I think you probably see, the Black Panther and Shuri, his sister. I think you're going to see a lot more of them, and they might end up just being like, the leaders of this next, along with Spider-Man. I think right now you have Iron Man, you have Captain America. I think you're going to have the Black Panther and Spider-Man. It's kind of like those two.
Yeah, I could kind of see that. I think throw in a little Doctor Strange to do that. But it is going to be interesting, and I agree with you. I think this is kind of, even though we're not out of Phase 4 yet.
We're not out of Phase 3 yet.
Oh, wow. So we haven't started Phase 4.
No, this is...
But to me, this is kind of the first movie of Phase 4. I know
Right.
the Avenger movie is always the one that ends the phase.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this was technically the first movie of Phase 4.
Yeah.
Kevin Feige, call us, please, and let us know whether or not we're right.
Yeah, I'd like to know.
But it just... Well, if this is the start of Phase 4, sign me up.
Yeah, oh yeah.
We're off to a really good start, and we're going to see some new Avengers, and I'm all good with that.
Right. Yep, I agree.
And I kind of hope, because it seemed to me at the very end, I don't know, if T'Challa's sister and Bucky might have a little bit of a budding romance going on.
Hey, you never know.
And I would be kind of cool with that.
You never know. That very well could happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally I predict a lot coming out of this universe, and man, if Marvel just keeps putting movies out like this, I'll tell you, it's
well, and it, again, this is one of the movies that people are like, well, man, this could be the one. Mm-hmm. This could be the one that totally sinks the ship, and is the one that's not very good. They've said that about, excuse me, every movie since Thor, the second Thor movie.
The Dark World.
Yeah, The Dark World.
What's funny is somebody had put on a list of the 10 best Marvel movies that came out, and they ranked Thor: Dark World as in their top 5. And
it's a good movie.
It was a good movie, but it's not in the top 5.
No, Ragnarok would be up in...
They didn't even have Ragnarok in the top 10.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
Okay, then that's an invalid movie.
Ragnarok I put up there with Iron Man and the first... Actually, Iron Man 2 was good, but for the first Iron Man, which I thought was, the best...
it set the stage for everything else that we're seeing.
But then, the first Avengers and the Thor Ragnarok. But now you put the Black Panther. Black Panther's in my top 5. It's top 2.
Oh yeah, for sure.
To me, nothing beats the original Avengers movie because it was just so badass.
Oh yeah.
But one thing I loved about this movie, though, and maybe you thought the same, maybe you didn't, is this movie was not anchored by a huge climactic battle scene. It had its ending. It had that final fight, but it wasn't that epic. It didn't dominate the movie. It didn't dominate the storyline.
Right.
It wasn't like these other movies like the Avengers. It needed that ending battle because you knew that was coming, and then But to me, this movie I mean, it didn't need it. It was more of a movie than it was an action movie. You know what I mean? It was more.
Yeah.
It was more, and the pace was always great. The pace always kept me going. It wasn't like, okay.
Well,
it's
yeah, there was no dragging.
But it didn't need all of the action that the previous Marvel movies brought because of what Ryan Coogler did with the script and with what the cast was able to do. And
well, it was very Shakespearean. It was very Shakespearean in its tone and kind of how they enacted everything, and I really appreciated that because it gave it a little bit more of a sophistication.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would. This movie was great. But I want to go back to this whole top 10 list thing.
Sure.
What's your number one?
My number one?
Your number one.
To date, number one would be Black Panther.
Yeah.
And Avengers, the original Avengers would be a very, very close second.
God, I'm going to have to go Winter Soldier as number one. Black Panther number two. Civil War is number three.
I would put Winter Soldier as number three.
Interesting.
I would go Black Panther, Avengers, and...
Then I would go Iron Man number 4 and Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok number 5.
That would be my 4 and 5 as well.
Because, yeah, they've been getting better.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to turn any of them down. I'm not going to sit back and go, no, I wouldn't watch this one. Although I'm going to say this and I'm going to get shot. I would put Spider-Man Homecoming towards the bottom of the list.
It was probably the best Spider-Man that we've gotten so far.
It was.
But yeah, I mean it's in my top 10. It'd be in my top 10. But it wasn't one of the better.
No, it wasn't. It was, I don't know. That one felt a little preachy with some of the political stuff that they did. I did, don't get me wrong, totally liked it. Just watched it. I mean, I just watched it last night.
Mm-hmm.
But I think some of the others are more superior to that one. But I don't know. I'd have to look. How many Marvel movies have we had right now? Have we gotten, I think, 15 or 16?
It's 15, I want to say, sounds about right.
Or, yeah.
I mean, it's been 10 years, so, I mean, they've been cranking them out left and right.
Oh, yeah. We've been getting quite a few of them, but I would put, I don't know, be interesting to go through and rank everything.
Yeah. No, it would, and we should probably do that one.
Let's do that next week for our next podcast. Let's actually go through and...
Let's go through, we'll rank we already pretty much said what our top 5 was going to be, but out of the top 10 Marvel movies, what would be on your list? And I think that'd be a great thing to talk about.
Our personal favorites.
Yeah. Gosh, man, what a great movie that was! And
it was fantastic, start to finish.
I love the reunited Hobbit cast.
Andy
Serkis and Martin Freeman. That was cool. That was cool to see.
Well, Martin Freeman character, I was surprised.
I was surprised. He did a great job.
He was a good guy. He's kind of the new Coulson.
Yeah.
He's kind of the new Coulson. I kept, when we saw him in Civil War for the first time, I was kind of expecting him to be kind of a bad guy. Because they kind of painted him as this maybe shifty kind of character.
Right.
But man, pleasantly surprised in this movie where it's like, no, he is a good guy. He's a solid character, and just to see how he worked with them. I did love the line that T'Challa's sister, just because I can't pronounce her name.
It was
Shuri.
Yeah, Shuri.
But I did like when he woke up from his coma and he grabbed her on the arm. She goes, "Don't touch me, colonizer." And that made me laugh.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody, if you heard that line and you got offended, go get therapy. Because it was a funny throwaway line. I don't think it was said in a mean way, but it was funny. I loved her character, and she's cute.
There's one thing we didn't talk about is Winston Duke's character in this movie, M'Baku, who was the leader of
the guerrilla clan.
The guerrilla clan that lived in the mountains.
Those dudes are awesome.
They were so cool. And I loved it because just what you were talking about, with Fredo there, with Martin Freeman. You know, when they go to the mountains and he's.
Oh, I was going to bring this up too.
He was trying to talk, and
this was a great line.
M'Baku is just, he shuts him down. He's like, "You will not talk again."
Well, but he goes on to say, "If you speak again, I will cut you up and feed you to my children."
But then he goes, "We're just kidding. We're vegetarians."
That's right. It was a great line. But I loved his character, and I loved how they made them look like they were 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
Like they were giants. And he's fighting with them in Infinity War. Mm-hmm. I love that.
Well, he finally came around at the end. At first, he said he wouldn't, and without his help, they wouldn't have.
No, they wouldn't have. And
movie.
And at the end, when T'Challa came back in as king again to go sit on his throne, he was there.
He was there. Yeah.
He was part of the council now, and so I love that. We're going to go out into the world. We're going to become public. We're not going to be isolated. I was going to say isolationist.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, I know. They're not going to be isolated anymore, and all of the tribes were reunited. Mm-hmm. We're regrouped together, and
well,
I thought
at
that
the
was
beginning
great.
of the movie, I mean, for those of you who have seen it, for those of you who have not, it's going to be a spoiler. But at the beginning of the movie, he actually challenges T'Challa for the throne.
He does,
and that was the one of the original, one of the earlier fight sequences of the movie. And I don't have to say who wins because we all know who won. But
right.
M'Baku, yeah, I thought his character was great, and this actor, which I don't know too many about, Winston Duke, but apparently this guy graduated from Yale. So,
nice.
And a lot of these actors, you know, I mean, we're talking, these are, you know, theater trained actors. They've been around for a long time. I mean, this guy was in Hamlet, for crying out loud. So, I mean, a lot of these guys, I mean, they've done Shakespeare. Othello was huge with, gosh, I can't think now. I can't think of his name. What's his name? Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
I mean, he played Othello a couple different times. So I mean, a lot of these characters are, you know, are old school, classically trained.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, they're fantastic actors and actors.
Well, something that I love too, because you know how they run this stuff before the movie, the little sneak preview stuff. Well, being at the fan experience, it was all about Black Panther, and they had an interview with Ryan Coogler, and I just love this. He was in film school when Iron Man came out.
Nice.
And so he's sitting in this movie. He says he went with all of his buddies.
Where did he go? USC.
He went to USC. And he's sitting there with all of his buddies. And as they're watching this movie, he made the ballsy comment of, I'm going to be filming one of those movies one day. I'm going to direct one of those movies.
Sure enough.
And sure enough, he's doing Black Panther, which is probably going to be one of the biggest money makers. Yeah. So good on you, Mr. Coogler.
I mean, good luck topping that one if you're looking for monetary success. I mean, this is going to be the pinnacle of your. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but I mean, you're going to make a crap ton of money.
Oh, they're going to make all the money.
Yeah.
In spite of the little whiny pricks.
Yeah, I mean, knock it off already because it's not. If anything, it's just fueling the fire. It's causing more people to go see these movies.
Right.
That's all it is.
And
you're not stopping anything.
Well, I was going to go see it regardless, but yeah, it makes me want to go see it like 5 more times.
Move out of your mom's basement, for crying out loud. Go out and get yourself a girlfriend, get married, do whatever you got to do. Get a life.
Yeah, get a life and just freaking relax, everybody.
Jesus.
We don't. I think too much. We're too high strung anymore, and we need to just freaking relax. Can we just go out and enjoy something without it having to be political or having it, need to be that somebody's freaking offended over something? Everybody just relax. Let's just enjoy some stuff.
On our way out, there's a couple of things I wanted to bring up.
Certainly.
I saw a rumor of upcoming Marvel movies.
Ooh.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Volume 3, due to come out in 2020.
Beautiful.
Standalone Black Widow film, due to come out in 2021.
It's about freaking time.
A new Avengers movie in 2021. And Moon Knight. 2021. Captain Marvel 2022. Captain Marvel 2 2022. And they're talking about a standalone.
Because, yeah, we get Captain Marvel next year.
Standalone Nova movie, Nova Prime movie.
Oh, it's about freaking time we get the Nova.
Yep. And I mean, we're talking. God, you know what? I saw this, but I had to bring it up because you had mentioned it before. Incredibles 2. Did you see who the villain is?
The Underminer.
They're Underminer.
Yes. I know. Well, because I read up a little bit more on it, and this does take place immediately at the end.
So there is that battle scene in the beginning.
So they are fighting the
Underminer. He's not
Underminer.
going to be I'm sure he's not going to.
He's not the main villain. I think that's going to be the beginning of the movie they're talking about.
I love what they did with him. They kind of tweaked it a little bit and gave him a little bit of a storyline, and then now that's so cool.
Oh, I loved it. So cool. Well, because they set it up, and it's like, no, you can't just discard the Underminer. He lives beneath us, but nothing is beneath him.
They were talking about what brought that up was one of the wild cards that this is a fan site that I'm getting this off of. This is Namor, the Submariner.
Oh, they finally are going to do that?
It's definitely Namor. Sorry.
Namor is his name. And I'm hoping they don't give him the Speedo.
Yeah.
Can we give him pants? Because that's just awkward, weird.
Yeah, that'd be nice. X-Men, Fantastic Four, which I hope will be Marvel territory.
They said that officially 2020, they will be part of the MCU.
That'd be cool.
So,
because Marvel will do it justice. Although I love the first Fantastic Four. I thought that was great. But Thunderbolts. And yeah, I mean, there's so many great movies coming out that
there is.
I mean, this universe is just go on and on. There's going to be so many different phases to it. But I think what we're getting with Black Panther and going forward, we're in great hands.
I think we're in great shape. And even with some of the characters that we're not super familiar with, like Moonlight and the Submariner. But although the Submariner is probably one of the oldest characters in the Marvel universe, and so, with us getting these, again, everybody's been like, oh, well, this movie's going to fail. No one knows this character; it's going to fail. Ant-Man, Black Panther. This movie's going to fail. This movie's not going to do great. They've all done phenomenal, and so if they keep doing what they're doing, I mean, I'm going to see them anyway, but. Holy cow, yeah, bring it on.
It was interesting that they did a little side interview with Stan Lee, and I watched it. It was on YouTube. And it was a fan interview, and this guy had asked him, he goes, out of all the movies that have been made from this universe that you and Jack Kirby created, he goes, what is your most anticipated, or what was your most anticipated movie that you've gotten to see come out? And he said, and this was pre-Black Panther release, he said, Black Panther is going to be my most anticipated movie. This is the least known of all my characters, all these characters, and this is the one that I
That's
really
awesome. And his cameo in this movie
oh my God,
was
it was
perfect.
so funny.
Was great. It was so good.
So funny.
It was so good.
I'm just going to take these chips and just keep them safe over
It's
here.
going to just protect them.
And you have Martin Freeman's character say, okay, yeah, whatever. I'm not
Yeah. Well, and I love the fact that they confirmed in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 that Stan Lee's character is a Watcher.
Nice.
Because he's sitting there talking to the Watchers.
And rightfully so, yeah.
And he's basically reporting to them on all of his events. So every time we see him, we realize that he's one of the Watchers on assignment.
So what do you do? So, okay, so here's a question for you. Stan Lee's pushing 100. I mean, guys.
He's 90. I think he's 94.
Okay, so he's still a spry.
Yeah.
90-year-old. But I mean, so if and when he finally goes.
Right, which is yeah.
Do you keep his cameos coming if you're Marvel? Do you give him a little CG treatment?
I don't think they would do that because. I was talking to somebody recently about the new Solo movie to totally change gears, and this particular...
Which I got to see on the big screen for the first time.
Oh, yeah, I did too. Yeah, I'm more intrigued.
Oh.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. So, but he was complaining. It's like, why don't they just get Harrison Ford to play him and then just de-age him?
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah, I don't
because it would look like Harrison Ford de-aged.
Yeah,
and it would fall down in certain parts, and it would take you out of the movie.
I don't want to do that.
So with him being a consultant, I'm kind of cool with that. And so I think
George Lucas was a consultant too.
Oh, see, that's awesome.
Yeah, I read an article where George Lucas actually directed a scene in the Solo movie.
See, that's cool.
Let's say now we're getting off topic.
Now
But
we're getting
anyways,
off
go
topic.
back to Stan Lee.
But back to Stan Lee. I predict what would happen, because I think it would be a dishonor to his memory if they just did a CG Stan Lee cameo. I predict that when he passes away, hopefully it's many years from now, I think there will be a nod to him in every movie. There'll be a picture of him somewhere.
That'd be cool.
Because in the Netflix movies, people have said, well, he's not in it. He hasn't done a cameo, but he has. Everyone has gone to the police station, and the officer of the month that's up on the wall is Stan Lee. Yeah. And so I think that's how they would handle it. I really hope they don't do a CG version of him, because I just think it would be a dishonor to him,
right,
and all of the things that he's done. But I do think I would love, like, okay, we're going over to see somebody in their house, and they got a picture of their grandparents, and it's Stan Lee and his wife sitting on the mantelpiece, or they do something else, and there's just Stan Lee makes an appearance.
I think that would be
in
classy.
A photo. I think that would
that'd be classy.
More honorable to him in the long run than, let's just CG him in.
There's just too much CG out there. I mean, I thought what they did at the end of Fast and Furious 7, which is probably one of the best Fast and Furious movies to date, when they CG'd Paul Walker's brother and as Paul Walker. I thought that was a pretty classy move. That's kind of a tearjerker, but it was very, very well done.
See, and I think because in that one he died during the production of the movie, so I thought it was very appropriate for him to do that. But to do the Fate of the Furious and then try to do a CG version of him, I think it would have been a dishonor to him.
That's too much.
And so I think if they were shooting a movie and Stan Lee died during the shooting of the movie, then yes, let's do a CG cameo of him as one last little hurrah. Mm-hmm. But if he's done the movie and, okay, we're going into production, he passes away before we started shooting the movie, then just pay homage to him by putting a picture of him in there somewhere.
I think it's great that, I mean, you live long enough to see your work up on the big screen, and
not just that, but
successfully. I mean, you've got to be. I mean, if you're Stan Lee, you've got to be a stoked guy right now. Just because of how big your bank account is.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, just look at what you created. I mean, him and Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby doesn't get enough credit. I mean, he really doesn't. I know there's been lawsuits filed and lots of back and forth in court over between Kirby and Lee. But what those two guys did.
Oh, it was huge.
I mean, that's just.
Well, I gotta just mention this really quickly in closing because it kind of plays into a part. It's kind of like Bob Kane kind of stole the thunder from Bill Finger. Mm-hmm. Bob Kane is credited as the creator of Batman, but it's really Bill Finger that created the look, that wrote most of the comics, that really made Batman into what we know, and he'd been totally sidelined. And I watched a documentary called Bill and Me, and it's about a guy that was a huge Batman fan, and he wanted to get Bill Finger his due. Mm-hmm. And it's just his process of trying to get it legalized. He's like, I don't want money. I don't want that. I don't want to cause a problem. I just want him to be recognized for the contribution that he did to the character. And so he found an ancestor of Bill Finger, a granddaughter, still alive, and from now on, in all movies, and Batman v Superman was the first movie to do it. It says Batman created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger.
That's cool.
And so it's just kind of cool. And so I think it's good that Jack Kirby is getting his due, where we're seeing his name in the credits, and we're getting. Right. He's getting the credit for creating these characters, because a lot of times Stan Lee kind of was a douche to him, and wouldn't give him the acknowledgement. But now he's saying,
at least now it's happening. Yeah.
So I think that's freaking fan-ding-tastic.
Well, that was the end of a great week. We finally got what we've been clamoring to see, but this is only the beginning, folks. We've got so much coming out, and it's gonna be coming in pretty quick now. And before the next big one coming up in a couple months with Avengers.
Well, and I'm getting excited because as we hit May, we're getting movies every week.
Yeah,
almost, and so we're going to have a lot to talk about coming in the future. I mean, not to say that we're not going to have a lot to talk about in the coming weeks. But once May hits, man, we're going to have a lot to talk about, and I'm super excited about this summer.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be an awesome time. So, all right, folks. Well, listen, thanks for joining us this week, and can't wait to see you next week. This has been episode 5.
This is our Empire Strikes Back episode.
This is our Empire Strikes Back. If you're in the Star Wars universe and you're a fan, this would have been the best. The best. I'm sticking with that. That's my best. My number 1. The Empire Strikes Back.
Until next week when we're going to do even better.
That's right. All right, folks. Thanks for joining us.
And
as always, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Dave.
And bye.
Bye.